Hello, welcome to Fiber Trek. My name is Sarah. Welcome. You are most welcome. On this episode, I take you along to the Maine Fiber Frolic and share with you some of the crafts that I've brought home. In doing so, I also invite my mom to come on and talk to us about her needle felting and wool craft. I have a quilt back from the long armor, which we need to get bound. I am looking forward to talking to you about my knitting and some treasures that I have found along the way. I look forward to sharing that with you on this upcoming episode.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things.
Wasn't it amazing to be back at a festival and not only to see the beautiful fiber craft, but also to engage with lots of different people and what they're knitting on and what they're doing. So appreciate all of you who made a point to come up and talk to me. It was humbling and encouraging. I so enjoy hearing from my viewers, but even more so in person. The used equipment tent was quite the affair, and my friend Sue and I, who accompanied me, made a point to go back and take a look at all of the really cool looms and weaving equipment, because there is some rumblings of weaving in my future. Really important booth for me to get to was Tidal Yarns, where my friend Patricia was vending with her beautiful natural dyed yarns. Her fleeces she sources from the Northeast and has it spun into custom yarn and then dyes it beautifully. And all of these colors work harmoniously. I have been a fan of Patricia's for many years, and I have seen her at the Fiber Frolic a number of times. We never have enough time to catch up, and I was so thankful to be able to see her briefly. I would encourage you to find her whatever festival you are at. One of the other vendors I really wanted to visit was the Felting Studio and Nasa Russo Designs. I have one of her kits, and every time I go by, I'm so intrigued by her aesthetic. It's got such a medieval feel and a tapestry feel, and it very much appeals to my Middle-earth sentiments. I picked up her book, which I've wanted to for a while, and it has projects in it. Mostly I was interested in kind of the process content, so selecting materials and the needle felting portion, but also then the wet felting finishing. So the projects range. There's little mug rugs and purses, ornaments. So those are really accessible and easy to start with and kind of make your own designs. And it goes on to different types of patterning. She has some three-dimensional type projects like this bear skin felt mat and a dragon table runner. She gets into portraiture and finishing those items, and also, just being able to see color placement and how she works with the material, especially when it is organically designed. So this particular piece, these monochromatic pieces that are on darker felt, can be a little harder because it's hard to get the design onto the original fabric. So you sketch down the design and then you needle felt it into it. It's like coloring with felt. So again, this book was just interesting to have in the library. I like the idea of the techniques and the process, and I think it will be really helpful in finishing some of the projects that I have that I purchased from her. So I'm really excited to share with you the kit that I picked up from Nasa Russo, which goes with the book that I previewed on needle felted tapestry. This is obviously a art form that you would, it is a familiar art form. And I think what's attractive about her work is that it does very much remind me of medieval, what's the word I'm looking for? Iconography, imagery. So that appeals to my Middle Earth sense. My thought was I picked up this reindeer. I have another kit of hers, which is a horse, which I haven't done. And when I was looking at this, I really like the dark background. And I was thinking what I would do this summer is I would make some felt, and I would applique this onto a felt bag and make myself a, felted embroidered bag, similar to concept around Marshma. So you could obviously use it as a wall hanging, but I thought I would just take you through the kit and what is involved in doing this particular skill. And A, it will motivate me to use the kit that I purchased and move forward on that, and B, introduce you to another artist and another way of engaging with the medium of wool. So I got the reindeer, as I said, and everything comes in the kit. And so we have instructions. We have the foam board that you need to needle felt onto. We have the pattern itself, which is the sketch is on. It's pre-sketched on. The one I have, you have to sketch onto it. And then we have the needle felting needles, which I don't want to lose, and the wool. So let's take a look at the felt. So this is sketched on with Sharpie marker. And it does smell like, smells like raw lanolin, believe it or not. Or maybe that's my hands, because I was just working with the fleece I purchased. Have you seen that segment yet? Have I done that? Anyway, so here's the piece, and obviously as you're going to fill in all the background with blue, and then these pieces with the white. And my hope is that it's a really quick experience that I can finish and have ready to go for other projects this summer. So you can find Nessa Rousseau online, and I will make sure to leave a link to her website. You can order these kits. You can find her at other festivals, and also you can certainly sketch your own images and your own own ideas using just the property of the wool, the structure of the wool fiber, and its affinity for itself and Velcro-y hooking on to each other. So let's see what happens with this, and yeah, stay tuned.
Where is the line between dreaming and feeling blue? It's 4 o'clock in the evening. I haven't left my room, but the truth is, if I'm honest, I feel stuck here in the middle. Am I one of those crazy people? Should I stay here or should I let go?
I thought it would be fun to bring my mom on to talk about her own needle felting work and interview her about how she got started and what she enjoys about this particular craft. So I'd like to welcome my mom to the program. She's not a super textile person, but you do have knit.
Yeah, right.
You have knit. You've completed
It's not fun.
You've completed some projects. Super inspiring here at Fiber Trek. But
I'm a woodworker.
I know, yeah. I've talked about that before.
Okay.
So she's a woodworker, but
I'm pretty good at that.
yeah, your things are really big.
Everything is big.
So I've been talking about the needle the needle felting that I picked up at the Fiber Frolic, and Mom actually a couple years ago at the Fiber Frolic also picked up some needle felting. So I thought you could share some of the work that you did, because you kind of went great guns.
Well, I was gonna make something for the grandkids,
Yeah.
but it never got any further.
But you finished almost all of them. So most recently you've been working on
My fish.
the fish. So
That's my salmon.
yeah. And when you get these kits, there's no like put this here, put that there.
Right.
So you kind of build the shape is drawn on
Yeah.
the felt, but you kind of build the
The colors and everything.
outline and everything. So
And I think what I liked about this was that when you do this, if you need to take it out, you can take it out.
right.
It's not permanent, and you don't have to have somebody fix it for you like when I'm knitting.
That's a good point. That's right. So you picked these up from a Wrinkle in Time farm in Maine,
Yes.
and they have little kits like this, and I'll make sure to grab some shots so you can see them.
My favorite is the pig.
That's my favorite too.
It reminds me of somebody.
Mom seems to think it's me as a pig. That was her inspiration.
I like the smile.
Yeah, I cause see,
It's a happy pig.
when I see this, I think of you. Yeah, that's not like
It's
I
like
just did something kind
really
of bad.
bad,
Look. So this was my favorite one, but you also did
I did one that looks like Ruby.
a dog. Yeah.
It's a border collie. And I have horses, so I did one that looks kind of like my draft horse, Ranger. And then I did a sheep with a weird tail.
But it looks
Might
like
look better that way. I don't know.
it looks like a sheep though.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So that's what I've done, and I've got another sheep to do, a great big one, and I've got
it's right here.
Yep, and I've got a.
So she has a couple of the kits from Nasa Russo as
Yeah.
well. On these kits, the picture isn't drawn on yet,
Right, you have
so you
to
have
do
to
that.
trace the picture. But on the newer kits, the one I just
Yeah.
bought, the picture was already on
Yeah.
it. So, but yeah, so this one, and you also have the Griffin.
Yeah, the Griffin.
So which is over there. So is there anything? I think your point about being able to take it out. It's like kind of an independent thing.
Yeah.
Because basically you're just taking the needle. But is there any other
I think
tips?
the thing that I was surprised is that I got the thicker sponge because I was worried I'd poke my leg.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I use a piece of stick when I have to have my other finger down there because the needle is so sharp.
Right.
It really hurts, and the needles will break.
And you're getting your tetanus shot next week.
I'm getting my tetanus shot next week, so I'll be okay.
But yeah, using the stick. Now, did you think of that, or was
Yes,
that?
I
Yeah,
did.
you did. Yeah. So using the stick to kind of hold the wool down, so your fingers are kind of out. And you
yeah.
could also probably use tweezers
Oh,
to
you
do
can do all
that,
kinds of
stuff like
things.
that too, to keep
Yeah.
your fingers.
Tweezers work really good if you're trying to place a thin
Yeah.
piece, like a line or something.
Yeah. And what do you really like about this?
I think it's relaxing. It's kind of therapeutic. You don't have to get a whole bunch of tools out like I do in the wood shop
Right.
and make a mess. Although I can make a mess with this if I'm not
I
careful.
think you've done okay. Yeah. So do you think? Are you going to do the sheep next or the Griffin?
Probably the Griffin.
Yeah. So we could get that traced
Yep.
when.
Yeah.
So you
Because I
could-
want to do that for Cameron's birthday and the sheep is for Madison's birthday.
Yeah. So awesome.
Cool.
Well, thanks for coming.
Oh, you're so
on,
welcome.
Mom, the notorious Sue
I had to
Hunt.
drive all the way to Millinocket to do it.
We were going to do it at the house.
I know.
And there was no beer, so that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But it's too early in the morning, so.
Not really.
Yeah, fair enough.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
Good. Thanks for sharing.
I've never been on TV before. Well, yes, I was on Gene London.
Okay, whatever.
I ate a chocolate-covered banana
Okay. When you were a kid.
when I was a kid in Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
That I got thrown out of.
You look like that. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing your stuff with us. And I know you want to get on the road, so we'll let you go.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
As I mentioned, the quilt I made for my mom came back from the long armor and I needed to bind it. And this is a really large quilt, probably the largest I've done. It's a queen. I was really happy with the design and how the quilting emphasized the overall pattern of the other elements in the fabric. This is the Rippling Star quilt by Carriage Quilt Designs, and I used Esther Falun Lau's Forest Fables fabric to piece it. So the binding is also a piece of that collection. It's what I used as the contrast color. And as you can see, there is a lot to manipulate. So I hunkered down on a rainy day, hence the lighting issues here, to begin this epic hand stitching event. I will hand bind the whole thing around. And as we have come to the cabin, I left this particular project, and so I will pick it back up when I return and hopefully have that done in time to bring it down in July for my mom. In this last portion, I will chat a little bit about my projects, but I mainly popped in here to let you know that my washer goes slightly berserk behind me towards the end, and I wanted to let you all know that it will all work out, and I appreciate your flexibility during some of these technical moments with the microphone and the sound. Thanks as always for tuning in. Hello, welcome to the fiber portion of the episode, and in this segment I'm just going to talk a little bit about my adventures and some treasures I found at the Fiber Frolic this past weekend, as well as my knitting, which won't look very different from, I don't know, the past 5 episodes. You know, a lot of things have happened here at the end of the school year for me. I am wrapping up school. I am done. Today is day 2 of summer break, and just getting organized, getting home. I also threw a surprise 50th wedding anniversary party for my parents in Rangeley, and that took quite a bit of energy, both for the catering portion and the planning portion and the lying portion of getting my parents up there under false pretenses. So I have been putting energy forth in other areas, and I haven't been home. I haven't been home for 16 days, and I'm finally back in the studio space and taking stock of all of the projects and pieces and what I want to get done and take you along with me. But to start off, I'm just going to share with you where I'm at with my knitting. I have been working on the Carden by Jennifer Wood for a long time, and I brought this with me to my parents, and I got to the bottom and I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to keep knitting the body or cast off. So I put that on hold and I tried it on when I got home, and I'm going to knit another 2 inches to the hem. So in total, the length from the armhole to the bottom will be 17.5 inches. And that's just enough to kind of cover. That will be like mid-hip for me, so it won't be a cropped version of this. My bigger concern, as I've been mentioning with this particular sweater, is it is a hand-spun 3-ply from Flat Island Fleeces here off the coast of Maine. And I am worried I'm going to have to spin more of it, and I am worried that I'm going to have to match, which I know can be done, but I kind of wanted to just wrap this up and not have another barrier to finishing this project. So yeah, so another 2 inches, and then I will pick up for the sleeves, and I can make some decisions about the sleeve length. You know, maybe it will be a bracelet length or 3/4 length to accommodate the rest of the yarn that I have. So I'm still in love with this, and trying it on, it fits real nice, and it has a lot of structure, so it's not super clingy. It kind of sits straight, and yeah, I'm thrilled with the outcome, how the yarn and everything came together. So that continues to be on the go. Rob and I are taking our nephew into the camp this weekend, which I'm sure I'll get some footage, and I will be taking this. So with any luck, I will be moving through the sleeves by the time I see you next with this project. I also worked on my fox sweater, which has been an ongoing 3-year project. I think it's maybe on 2 years. I started this when I came back from Norway right before or right after the pandemic hit, and I continued to work on it. I kind of cast off, as you know, if you've been watching, the body, but then realized it was too short, and so I am back re-knitting that. And this will also be going with me up north. So this is that piece, and I have plenty of yarn for this. I'm not worried about that. I'm knitting this out of Hillesvåg in the Solja and the Vilja, which is their lamb's wool. And so cognac and cream. So yeah, so this is from Koftaboken, that collection, and yeah, I just continue to knit that pattern until I've reached the end of the original ball, and then I will bind off for the hem. So that's really it for the knitting, and I continue to dream about other pieces. It's my washing machine in the background. Yeah, I was noticing Cumbria, which is Marie Wallen's new collection, was released. Some beautiful patterns in there. I'm not sure anything for me per se, but I really love some of the silhouettes and the color work pieces, which then made me start thinking about the Yell by her, which is another color work, all over color work sweater in Fair Isle design, and I'm wondering if that's something I want to cast on. I'm just thinking about it. At the Fiber Frolic, I picked up a variety of pieces. Initially, I had kind of set the limit that I would not be purchasing any yarn except from my friend Patricia at Tidal Yarns, who is a natural dyer, and she also procures fleeces from the Northeast and has them spun into her own yarn. But we went into the fleece barn, my friend Sue and I, who accompanied me, and there were a lot of fleeces, which was really beautiful to see. And they were very large, and so I was not tempted. Although there were beautiful fleeces in beautiful natural colors, the size of them was enough to temper me. But I found one little fleece. It is a Romney. It's a Romney lamb from Ann Wishart. And I picked that up. It's a deep, deep black. And I am going to be talking more about this fleece over on my Patreon. So I will be discussing why I picked it, the qualities of it, my thoughts about preparation, and eventually we'll be spinning it. So in the past, I had done a segment with 3 friends, Sarah Pomegranate of Yarns at Yinhu and Emily of Fibertown, called Fleecewise, where we bought a fleece and talked about the process that we each experienced with it. And that's kind of the platform or paradigm I'm going to use for the Patreon bonus content this month. So more about this over there, and thank you to all those patrons who invest financially. And I hope you find some extra value in the bonus content that I've been putting up each month. So that fleece came home with me, I know, but it was so beautiful. And I don't, I have all the charcoal fleeces from my Icelandics, but I don't have a dark charcoal Romney. So we'll see what happens with that. The other thing I picked up was peg loom. I've been thinking about this particular piece of equipment ever since my Icelandic yarn came back. A little bit too dense to knit with, and I'm wanting to weave with it. Excuse me. I'd first seen a peg loom when I was visiting Orkney with my husband on our honeymoon like 12 years ago, and she was using it with the North Ronaldsy roving fleeces. So you can use it with roving, etc. You can basically do anything you want with it. But this peg loom is a very ancient piece of technology, and it's very low tech, low space. So I thought I would give that a try. I do have the rigid heddle loom. I'm not super psyched about that particular loom I have. I find it to be cumbersome and uncomfortable to weave at. Rob and I do have plans to bring in the 4 harness loom back into the house this summer. He would like to weave some rugs, so we're going to try to get that set up somewhere in this small space that we live in and get him weaving this winter. So stay tuned for that. So I got the peg loom and I bought some shuttles, all in the used equipment barn, which was fantabulous. And it was really hard to walk away from some deals, but I was encouraging other people to participate. There's a lot of looms there for good prices, smaller looms, and that's really why I had gone into that barn, was to look for used weaving supplies. So the peg loom and the shuttles, and then I also highlighted for you the book and the wool felting project that I got. And the last thing I picked up, or was generously gifted, was from Tidal Yarns. And I picked up a bunch of her minis. I have a couple sweaters out of her yarn already, and I have sweaters worth sitting and waiting to be knitted. But the minis were hard to pass up. And so these I picked up in kind of a variety of colors to do just some color work mitts or a color work hat. Patricia's yarns are so beautiful. She has kind of two weights, and of course the dyeing on them is really earthy and grounding, and everything works together in harmonious ways, and it's really hard to walk away from her booth. It's just, you walk in and you feel like you step back in time a little bit, and everything is this kind of moody, earthy experience. So never miss Patricia. If you are traveling into different fiber festivals in the Northeast. So that was a secret treasure I picked up, and I'm looking forward to admiring for a while on my hutch in my studio space. So it was a really exciting trip to be out in the festival, and I got to visit with Bristol Ivy, and as you noticed, I did highlight some other vendors that were there that caught my eye. I had a number of people come up to me and talk to me about the podcast, and I so appreciate those personal interactions and that feedback. It's encouraging and it's humbling, and again, thank you for taking some time to come up and talk to me. So I think that's going to wrap up this segment. You can see that, I got home, I got right to work on my mom's quilt and another quilt, but we're turning around on a dime here and heading into the woods, so I need to think about packing for that. I, again, appreciate all of you who come in and invest some time, provide comments, insight, and finances to move this project forward. I'm wishing you all the best, many blessings and fond wishes, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.